Hey, good to see you. Um, I have a video that goes over the problems from Monday. That sounded like children fighting. Oh well. I've got some problems for you from Monday that I'll go over. Those were pretty challenging problems, I know, but that's good. Let's continue to challenge ourselves and push ourselves. You might not get it this week, but hopefully, if we keep practicing, you'll eventually get it. So listen to the videos and stay tuned to the end because I've got some important information for you. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. I've got 3 problems that I assigned for you on Monday, and we're going to go over those right now. The 3 problems all focused on combining like terms, and so we still are going to be solving the entire equation, but we're really focusing on getting mastery of that skill. So our first problem was 5x plus 2 plus 7x minus 10 equals 42. And we need to combine like terms, so that means putting all of our x's together and putting all of our constants together. So 5x and 7x go together, and 2 and negative 10 go together. So let's rewrite that and combine those. So we know that 5 and 7, it gives us 12x, and positive 2 and negative 10 gives us negative 8. So that's how we get 12x minus 8 equals 42. Okay, now this is just a regular 2-step problem. We know what to do from here. We're going to start by adding 8 to both sides of the equation so that we end up with 12x is equal to 50. And then the opposite of multiplying x by 12 is dividing x by 12. So we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 12. That allows us to cancel those 12 out. So we're left with x on one side and 50 twelfths on the other side. We can turn 50 twelfths into a mixed number. 12 goes into 50 4 times with 2 twelfths left over, and then I know I can divide 2 and 12 by 2 to end up with my most reduced answer to this problem, which is 4 and 1/6. Okay, problem number 2. Negative 8x minus 6 plus 2x minus 10 equals negative 46. Again, we're going to start by combining like terms. So negative 8x and 2x need to go together, and negative 6 and negative 10 need to go together. So if I want to think of it, I could think of it as negative 8x plus 2x minus 6 minus 10. Okay, so let's simplify that. Negative 8, positive 2 gives me negative 6. So I end up with negative 6x, and negative 6 minus 10 is negative 16. So negative 6x minus 16 is equal to negative 46. Okay, now we are just going to solve this 2-step equation like we know how to do. So the opposite of taking away 16 is adding 16. So we're going to add 16 to both sides, and we end up with negative 6x equals negative 30. And the opposite of multiplying x by negative 6 is dividing it by negative 6. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 6. That cancels my negative 6 out, and I can see that a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive, so I know my answer is going to be positive. 6 goes into 30 5 times. My answer is x is equal to positive 5. Okay, third problem is certainly a challenge. We've got negative numbers, parentheses, we have a whole bunch of stuff we need to deal with. So PEMDAS tells us that we have to deal with our parentheses first. Since we don't know what x is equal to, we can't solve what's in the parentheses, so we need to use the distributive property. And that is going to require us to multiply negative 5 times 2x and negative 5 times 1. So let's rewrite this equation after distributing. So we end up with negative 3x plus 12 minus 10x. We get that from negative 5 times 2x minus 5, and we get that from negative 5 times 1. Okay, and then our next step is to combine some like terms. So we have our variables, negative 3x, negative 10x, and then we have our constants, positive 12 and negative 5. So let's rewrite the equation with our variables all together and our constants all together. So this is negative 3x minus 10x plus 12 minus 5. And when we simplify that, we get negative 13x plus 7 is equal to negative 123. Okay, now it's just a plain old two-step equation. So the opposite of adding 7 is subtracting 7. So we'll do that on both sides. Remember, we're saying negative 123 minus 7. We're getting more negative there. So I end up with negative 13x is equal to negative 130. Now the opposite of multiplying x by negative 13 is dividing. We're going to divide both sides by negative 13. That cancels out my 13s on that side of the equation. And I'm left with x, a little slight problem here. X is equal to negative 130 divided by 13. I know a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive. And 130 divided by 13 is 10. Okay, so you'll notice I didn't give you any more problems. That's because next week is spring break, and if it was a normal school day, today you guys would be super excited because it would be the last Friday before a break. So we might not be super excited because maybe our plans have changed, but we're still going to make the best of it, right? So I have a few announcements for you. First of all, hopefully you heard Governor Inslee's announcement yesterday that we will be continuing our shelter-in-place or stay-at-home order until May 4th. So that means that school will not be going back into session anytime before May 4th. And, you know, there is a real possibility of us not going back at all this year. It doesn't mean that learning is done for the year. It simply means that we need to think of it differently. And so over spring break, while I won't be posting videos, I'll be answering your questions if you email me or you have something you want to ask me. But over spring break, I'm going to work real hard to come up with a plan of how this is going to look for the next couple weeks after spring break. We have a lot of things we need to think about, and so there's a lot of stuff that we need to do. But stay strong, stay inside. I miss you guys a ton. Don't worry about getting any work done next week. Take a break, and we will resume after spring break. Miss you guys.